This is my 1988 Saab 900 Turbo, and today we're going to be putting some Do88 upgraded parts on it. Don't worry, I did not damage the hood of the 900, but we do have a little bit of a care package here from Do88, so big thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. I've had some of their parts on pretty much all of my Saabs. I have their intercooler on my 2003 9.3 right here. Intercooler, radiators, any sort of intake hoses, radiator hoses, random other hoses as you'll see in this video for your Saab and other cars as well. They actually make Volkswagen, Audi parts, BMW, lots of other European car brands. So check out their website, it'll be linked at the top of the description. But in today's video, we've got quite a few goodies to install. Here's everything we have for the car today, most of them being intake related hoses. So when we did the timing on the 900, we realized when we took all those intake hoses off that pretty much all of them are either ripped or very old and brittle, and they need to be replaced. So I kind of got the idea, well, instead of buying OEM ones, which actually most of them aren't even available, why don't I check out Do88? And they actually have specific kits for these cars that include all the intake hoses. So we have all of those. There's also some idle control hoses, some throttle body preheating hoses, which I know a couple of mine are kinked and messed up, a brake vacuum hose, and this crankcase vent hose right here. Lastly, we have the blow-off valve hose and then all of the associated clamp kits as well. So every single one of these has a specific kit number associated with it, so you can easily look it up on their website if you're interested and you have a 900 and you're trying to get the same thing. But this is just a part of what they offer for these cars, which is really awesome. And because they're super high quality silicone, as you can see, they're gonna last way longer, be a lot more sturdy than those stock rubber ones. We might not be replacing every single hose that I have on the table in today's video. Main reason being, I actually have something pretty big planned for this car over the summer, and I'm waiting for all my parts to come in. In short, we're going to be tearing apart the motor, fixing the blow-by, things like that. So it'll be my first engine rebuild. Excited about that. Without further ado, let's get into it. All of our intake and charge pipes have been removed between the throttle body, intercooler, air intake, turbo, all that fun stuff. They're all sitting right up here. So next, one of the easy hoses that we can replace now that that's off is this blow-off valve hose. So this runs from right down here. This goes into one of the air intake hoses for the turbo, and it comes up here and goes right into the throttle body. So let's pop that off and put our first Do88 one on. This hose right here is a perfect example of ordering more than what you just need. I wanted to replace this hose because I knew it was just like you can see it has absolutely no bend to it. I mean, this thing is stiff. Oh man. But as soon as I started to kind of wiggle it to take it off, see it started to tear all at that end. It actually had some hidden cracks and things under here, but that's not what a rubber hose is supposed to do when you... Oh man, I can't even break it in half even if I wanted to. Oh my God. All it's doing is cracking it more. I'm just amazed by how stiff this thing is. Don't take that out of context. Let's put this in. All right, make sure we got our new hose clamp on there. This one I'm actually going to leave a bit loose because I might need to rotate this around when I'm ready to actually put the other piece back on. Next, we're going to be replacing these idle control hoses. One thing I'd highly recommend, and one thing that I really appreciate Do88 doing, is on every single kit that they have or hose, they have the OEM part number as well. So basically what I've been doing, obviously these are two random hoses. I'm still not super familiar with the 900. I can guess where these go, but what I do is I take the OEM part number, put in Saab parts to pull up the part diagram, and then I realize, okay, these are exactly where these two hoses go. So these both come out of the idle air control valve right here. One of them comes across here, and the other one comes down and goes into the throttle body right under this other one we just replaced. Now this one, I'm not sure what's up with this random metal piece right here. If anyone knows why, let me know. There's nothing coming out of it, but it's just two separate hoses, two little hoses, and instead we're gonna be replacing it with one. I don't know if that's the way it came from factory, but anyways, let's get to it. This hose right here actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. Maybe it's been replaced at some point. It's still soft. I don't see any cracks or anything. It's also super thick if you can't tell, so that might be part of the reason for that. She thick. Other one as well. These are actually really soft too. Maybe have been replaced, but you can see this one is torn at the end. This side looks good though. This other kit I have here are throttle body preheating hoses. So those are essentially two hoses. One runs right under this Do88 hose that we just put in. You can see it right here. And it's actually kinked. And it's been like that since I got the car, you can see. It hasn't caused me any problems. So I figured I'd order those two hoses. One goes right there from the throttle body to there. And the other one goes in down way under here. You can see that T that comes off that coolant line that goes into the firewall here for the heater core. My first thought was, yes, let's just replace it right now. However, that means I'm gonna have to drain the coolant, make a mess. And since the engine's gonna be coming out at some point in the next couple months anyways, the car's not really gonna be driven much till then, I'm gonna hold off on this kit and do it when the engine's out of the car, or at least when the coolant is all drained. This hose right here is another perfect example of why I'm doing this kit, and actually the main reason why I ordered this whole kit. So this connects to the turbo, and this side goes into this plastic pipe and then over to the intercooler. So you can see this one is actually missing an entire huge piece of the rubber that connects to it. And then in here, this is all torn, kind of disintegrating. This side's all torn and ripped. So just, you know, I guess you could say old car problems. These rubber hoses aren't meant to last for 35 years. I spent the last 20 minutes or so with these two kits, the 127S and the 128S. These are pretty much the two kits that include all of the charge pipes, I guess you could say, for the 900. And they actually come with one extra one. For me, it's this one here. There are two different hoses, It's this one and this one, depending on year. The earlier years like mine, I believe up to like 89 or so, will require this one. And I think the 90 and up will be using this hose. The easiest way to tell if you get this kit is to just test fit it, see which one fits better. This one has bigger diameters on one side. I believe it's this side on the charge pipe is a little bit bigger on the newer cars from what I can tell at least. And then this side that goes into the intercooler is the same regardless. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this in the car. As you can see, some of these other hoses were starting to fall apart, cracking, and just, you know, old age. The nice thing is Saab writes all the part numbers on these, so if you do need one to reference, it's not too bad. Definitely struggling with this part, so let's just skip it.
2,000 years later.
Finally got this one on. I don't know why, but I put this one on first. This one needs to go on first. It's kind of a pain. It took me about 20 minutes. I struggle with it every time I take these hoses off. It's just a really tight fit down there. There's a lot going on, but it's on. We can stick our final hose on. You might notice I'm also rotating all these with the Do88 logos facing up. Just kind of a personal preference thing. I think it looks cooler, even though some of the hose clamps block a couple of them. And finally, one last kit we're doing for today, and that is just this vacuum hose, which actually I'm really glad I'm replacing this because this is similar to the throttle body hose. This is really stiff. But this one's a bit different in that we have different style hose clamps, not only on here, but on the kit that they give you. You can see there's some special smaller clamps, probably just because these are all plastic valves and nipples that they're going into, so we want to be careful not to damage those. That hose clamp is really in rough shape. It's all bent. I hope this one isn't the same. I do fear breaking this valve, so I'm going to cut this hose right here to make it easier to take off. There we go. Split that. See, this is all plastic. Last thing I want to do is snap that off and have to find a new one of those. Oh yeah. It's actually really cool. You can see what's inside of the is metal actually. So maybe the hose is supposed to be like that. Either way though, this rubber should not be ripping like this. Just from a little bit of force bending it. First step here, let's get this valve back on. I'm not sure what's up with these clamps, but I had it to the point where this nut on the back was out, meaning I could loosen as much as I could, and I couldn't get the nut back on when it was around here. These are just too small, I think. So I have a hose clamp kit. The smallest ones I have are an inch, so they're a bit big, but when I tighten them, I mean, they'll work. Not gonna be pretty, but they'll work. Definitely really happy with how this turned out. Wasn't too bad of a job. All that work was about 2 hours. Again, we do have 2 more kits here, these throttle body hoses, which we'll do later down the road when the time comes to pull the motor out again, because I don't want to drain the coolant. And we also have this big long crankcase vent hose as well, and then a couple of hose clamp kits. Big thanks again to Do88 for helping me with some of these hoses. Really excited to have them in the car. great high quality products, would totally recommend them for intakes, intercoolers, random hoses like this, etc. Check them out. Once again, link will be at the top of the description. And they are obviously based in Sweden. So if you live in the US like me, you might be wondering about shipping for that. Shipping wasn't too terribly expensive. Obviously my box wasn't super big as you saw, but regarding shipping time, this is what I was most impressed with. I ordered on Friday night, so obviously order wasn't processed until Monday morning. It was shipped on Monday and it was at my door on Thursday. I expected at least a couple weeks. DHL initially estimated about a week for shipping, but it got here in 3 days, so I was super amazed with that. Let's hear how she sounds though. Oh yeah, I absolutely love this car. So much more work to come. I've ordered so many more parts for this thing mechanically. My goal by the end of the summer is to have this car perfect mechanically, because it's still leaking oil, as you might be able to see. But thank you guys all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Check out my Patreon and Instagram for more behind the scenes stuff on the channel, and I'll see you all next time.